Good morning, good afternoon, good evening and good night. Today Mama is reading another story by Nanny Joe and it's called Spider-Man's Secret Dread.
Here we go. My very dear and darling Mark, do you remember one warm starlit night soon after your birthday? Rather a long time ago, I'm afraid. I'm sure you do. It was the night when you persuaded Mummy and Daddy to let you sleep outside in the garden, quite by yourself, in your new Spider-Man tent. What a night that was. No wonder you hardly got a wink of sleep. Not that you were uncomfortable, not a bit of it. You settled down in your brown sleeping bag as snug as a conker in its furry vest. Nor were you in the least frightened. After all, you had as company Teddy, bold as brass in his Clownton blue villa pyjamas, and the sleepy mouse to guard the entrance. But he must have slept too soundly, for not even a whisker did he twitch when Spider-Man slipped like a shadow inside the tent. I'm sure he didn't mean to wake you. He was just curious, and after examining your beautiful tent, he would have vanished like a puff of smoke. But it was to be. Not more than 40 winks had you enjoyed when you were rudely awakened by an explosion of shrieks, the like of which you'd never heard, and, I think, never wished to hear again. Worse even than a jelly baby's when you bite his feet off. On the other hand, if you bite his head off first, he tries to kick you in the teeth. Incidentally, they reform themselves inside your stomach and spend the rest of the time playing tiddlywinks or Ludo. And when one chips in a tiddlywink or throws a double six, they get a bit excited, and that's when you get collywobbles and have to have a dose of castor oil. Ugh. However, knowing you weren't eating jelly babies, you sat bolt upright and with immense courage switched on your torch. You just couldn't believe your eyes, so you switched it off and then on again. But no, there was the intrepid Spider-Man cringing, yes, actually cringing before a spider which was waving its front legs at its hero in the friendliest manner. Don't come near me, stay away, I say. Mark, make it go away, please, please, make it go away, pleaded the quaking, could it be, Spider-Man. Without a word, but hoping this was all a dream, Mark picked up the spider and allowed it to scamper up his arm. At this, Spider-Man trembled so violently that he set up quite a draught and blew the spider off Mark's nose where it had taken up temporary residence, so that it now swung yo-yo-like from its silken thread in front of Spidey's eyes, which became quite crossed. At this, Spider-Man tried to roll himself up like a hedgehog, but he couldn't bear to take his eyes off the swinging spider, so he looked much more like a tortoise. With a sigh, Mark walked to the flap and gently put the spider outside. "It's only a spider," he said. "And not a very big one. What's the matter? I thought you'd especially like spiders. After all, you are called Spider-Man, aren't you? How can you be frightened? Why, you've zapped the most fearsome monsters, the abominable rhino, Dr. Octopus and Savage Craven. I can't help it. They're so tiny, so minute, they could be all over you before you could even see them. Little hairy legs pitter-pattering down your neck, up your legs, along your arms. Oh, horrible, most horrible." Mark began to understand a little. "Funny you should say that. My mum feels the same way, but she's a woman and that explains it." Nanny Joe. "Don't tell anyone, or please don't," begged a now pale pink Spider-Man. "Just think what the comics would make of it." Mark giggled as he thought about this. Maybe they'd rename him Jellyman, Spider Puny Man, or Windy Man. "I won't tell," he said, "but someone will sooner or later. It's a bit like sharks being terrified of shrimps." Spider-Man looked sulky and interrupted. "You haven't got any solution to offer. If you haven't got any solution to offer, you might as well shut up." "As a matter of fact," replied Mark, "stay here. I'm going out." And out he went. He knew exactly where he was going, to the old stump of pine tree at the bottom of the garden where Dad put the compost, rubble and broken pots. He was pretty sure he would find spiders there, and he wasn't disappointed. About 100 spiders, as varied as dolly mixtures, were assembled there, presided over by a doughty, hairy-legged specimen, King Hadrian the 61st. He fixed his gleaming jack-o'-lantern eyes on Mark, and Mark was glad to sit down up a small tree stump around which a few summer sweet peas were still climbing. He told King Hadrian the facts of Spider-Man's problems, and ended, "Your Majesty, I was certain that if anyone could help Spider-Man, it would be you." "Very wise of you," replied Hadrian. "We shall spin Spider-Man a pair of lenses which will magnify all small things so that they appear immense. yet will have no effect on things already large. So saying, he led his followers into the deepest recesses of shade, and in no time at all he'd returned with the lenses in a little net bag. Mark took them and thanked Hadrian, then hurried back to the tent. He was tired, a little cold, and wanted his sleeping bag badly. He handed the silken bag to Spider-Man with Hadrian's instructions. At the same moment as Spider-Man slipped them into place, the small spider crept once again into the tent. Spider-Man hailed it with delight. "Come, my fearsome brother, let you and I go a-venturing." He turned to say goodbye to Mark, but only a bulge in the sleeping bag showed where he was. Spider-Man smiled his thanks, and with the spider, vanished into the night. That's the end. Good night.